Pleased to be joined now by the one, the only, the legendary future Pro Football Hall of Famer. In fact, this time next year, I imagine he'll be getting suited for a gold jacket, getting his face all measured for a bronze bust. It is the one, the only Dallas Cowboys and Denver Broncos legend, Super Bowl champion, DeMarcus Ware. D-Ware, thanks so much for taking the time to join us.
Hey, man, thank you guys for shedding some light on restful sleep with Sleep Number and talking a little bit of football.
Yeah, so I actually want to start there. You and I last spoke in December. I don't know if you remember. You don't have a lot going on. I know you remember talking to me. And I asked you for a movie recommendation then, and you recommended the movie Safety on Disney Plus. My wife and I watched it. She loved it, and it was pretty cool to say, hey, I only knew about this because DeMarcus Ware, recommended it to us. So it was a good time for us. And so why don't you recommend a new way of sleeping, Sleep Number? Tell us about your partnership with them.
It's been great because this is a 30-day challenge with over 2,000 NFL legends, right? And it's with the Sleep Number 360 select bed. And it's a great opportunity. Like I said, the partnership with the NFL is, long-lasting relationship, but they're really harping on your sleep patterns, harping on recovery, harping on how long can I keep the guys in the NFL with recovering the fastest way of getting back on the field, and using some of the legends, which we're beat up. I've had 3 back surgeries. I've had a neck surgery. And this right here is an opportunity for me, and being in the fitness space for 5 years, doing this 30-day challenge. And each week there's something new, right? Like this week is food and exercise, how it actually affects your sleep, but having an opportunity to see the technology in this bed and how it works, and getting a cool baseline on how you sleep. And it's like a life-changing thing. Like, how you change your meals and food, that's a lifestyle change. Your recovery is also a lifestyle change. And being able to just, at the click of your phone, have the sleep IQ tell you how you're sleeping, how restless you are when you sleep, and your recovery time is just amazing.
Interesting. That is very cool. What is your sleep number? Is it 94? Because that would have been awesome.
Oh, boy, you just hit the right number, man. That's it. But yeah, it was 92 today. I try to keep it in the 90s. I think it's between 5 and like 100. And it's like one of the coolest things about the bed is it measures everything. Like, how restless the movements in, your heart rate, your movements in bed, how restless you are, right? But then also you can change the firmness of the bed, right? I mean, the heated feet, they're in there too. That's like one of the nice things. But when you wake up in the morning, you see all of these things. It's like any other technology, but it's in your bed and where you're at majority of your day. Being part of this and being able to shed some light, to the world through the NFL, I think this right here is going to be really good for everybody to see.
That is very cool. Well, awesome stuff. I'm glad you're properly rested, keeping in shape. You call yourself beat up, let's rest easy on us normal civilians that, don't have your physique. So I want to talk about number 11, Micah Parsons. It's been a minute since the Cowboys drafted him. Your thoughts on the newest linebacker, newest pass rusher? Obviously, they have a lot of plans to utilize him in a number of different ways. What have you seen? What do you like about Micah so far?
I think we call the guys that are like him are utilitarians, guys that can rush the passer, that can, drop back in coverage, be that thumper against the run, especially in the NFC East. So it's just cool now to have that new guy with Sean Lee being retired, having, DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, he's stepping up even more, being a leader on that defensive line. They're running a true 4-3 with Dan Quinn. And then you got, Randy Gregory over there who had a full now off season. Now, what is this guy capable of? Because he's been reckless. And then you got Parsons coming in, right? With Leighton Vander Esch, just to name a few, with Jalen. I mean, that linebacker core is a beast. So I just can't wait to see now how they can wreak havoc. First, stop the run, which they didn't do last year, right?
Right.
And then wreak some havoc on the quarterback with some amazing athletes.
Who does Micah remind you most of? I mean, because when I think about the linebackers you played with, Brady James comes to mind. I mean, there was a lot of different linebackers, Keith Brookings, Zach Thomas, obviously Sean Lee, lots of different ones. But who does Micah most compare to in your mind?
I think it has to be a couple of guys, right? I look at him as like a Urlacher type guy that can rush the passer, right? And then like a thumper, like a Zach Thomas and Brady James. And then a coverage guy like a Sean Lee. If you can mix all those guys together, that's what you get with Parsons. And I think it's going to be a cool thing for them to get back on top of the NFC, win some football games, and get back in the playoffs, especially with Dak being back.
Totally. No, I couldn't agree more. And again, if you can combine all those guys, I mean, let's throw Aiken Adele in there too. Like just, you know,
that's my dude, man. Aiken, exactly.
Good times. We'll get his brother in there too. I mean, you know, it'll be a good time.
All of them.
So you mentioned Dan Quinn. You've obviously played for a number of defensive coordinators and some really great ones. You know, Wade Phillips is the first one that comes to mind for a lot of people. What's it like when you have a new one come to town and you have to adjust, whether it is, you know, now we're full 4-3, whatever the case may be. What is that like when you're an established player? You mentioned DeMarcus Lawrence already, but you've already got kind of your already, you know, set up, you know, how you want to roll. But what is that adjustment as far as new players, old players, et cetera?
I think it's always a challenge when you get a new coach that comes in with a new scheme. But they have a coach that, like Marinelli the year before, the old coach that ran the 4-3. So they're used to that. They got a new coach that's coming in that runs a 4-3, but now can utilize the athletes where they're rushing the passer a lot more, where they're wreaking a lot more havoc because they're running a lot of stunts up front. So they're using a lot of the athleticism of the players to now be effective, right? They're not just saying, hey, you line up and you just beat your guy. We're going to scheme you to death, but we're going to use our athleticism and beat you. And that's how when I had Jack Del Rio, when I had Bill Parcells, I had like 7 defensive coordinators, even Marinelli. Mm-hmm. But it's cool to see that each coach that comes in, the athletes are going to fit the scheme. They run it right, and they're going to be very effective.
You mentioned Randy Gregory, obviously, wears number 94 now. I think the answer, I don't want to speak for you, but your favorite pass rusher to play opposite off of was probably Von Miller. I'm a fighting Texas Aggie too, so I'm cool with this answer. But as far as your time in Dallas, who would it be? I mean, was it Anthony Spencer? Was it Greg Ellis back in the day? Like who was your favorite guy to kind of bookend with?
I think it was 2 things. It was Greg Ellis at first because he taught me so many pass rush moves, taught me how to be a leader, right? And then you had Anthony Spencer, a young, pit bull that was, that gets after it. And it was just a cool thing to play with just both of those guys, 2 different dynamics, right? But have an opportunity to play with 2 great players and win some football games.
Sure. I feel like people don't talk about Greg Ellis enough. I mean, you are going to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame next year. I told you that last time. I'll be saying it till I'm blue in the face. And Greg Ellis had an incredible career. And it's unfortunate because people connect him so much to Randy Moss, which I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times. Right. But I mean, but go to bat for your boy because it does feel like, I mean, he had an incredible career that nobody shines enough light on.
Yeah. And the thing is, like with Greg, he was a quiet assassin. Mm-hmm. He was a guy that wasn't really high in the media, but he made Pro Bowls. He did what he needed to do. He was averaging, I think, 10 sacks a year, 9 or 10 sacks. And it's like he just went off into the shadows because he didn't have that huge social media presence in the, not tabloids, but in the media, right? And I vouch for Greg. Like Greg taught me when I first got in mixed martial arts, how to take care of myself. And he helped build me into the player that I am today. If I didn't have Greg, I don't know where I would be right now. So to give that to Greg and that ownership to Greg and say, hey, you was the perfect, epitome of what a young player should come in and have that leader that leads you now into being the player that I am now.
That's awesome. I love seeing that brotherhood, that fraternity, obviously in the pass rush room, but on both sides. I know when Tyron Smith was first drafted, that was something that us Cowboys fans were so pumped about was this dude's going to get to learn from D Ware every day. And obviously you did a great job. What are your thoughts on him? Because you know how that is, coming back from injury, big time injuries that, can take guys out for a long stretch of time. I think that's something that everybody's kind of holding their breath on. Do you see Tyron as being able to hold up now, especially that the season is expanded to 17 games?
I think he will be able to hold up because he's an offensive lineman. He's one of those guys where, he's used to the pounding. His body's used to that. But, he had a long time to recover. I actually had the same surgery that he had, and I'm feeling great. So I think this is going to be – I wish I would have did it earlier in my career. So I think he's going to come back a lot stronger, a lot more confident, not having to worry about, man, am I going to get a stinger or not? Can I play a whole football game? Because playing against Tyron, I mean, he is a beast. Every pass rusher that I know that played against him, they hated playing against him. And now he's coming back. He's going to be a full Tyron this time. And I think he's going to do something amazing and prove a lot of people wrong.
My last one for you, DeMarcus. How are you going to feel this year when the Broncos visit AT&T Stadium? The last time that happened was an incredible game. I'm sure you've given Peyton a hard time about the quarterback sneak. That was a rough moment, obviously. But that was one of the greatest games ever. I mean, honestly, in just NFL history. Is your heart going to be torn? You're going to be in different places emotionally? How's that going to be for you?
I'm going to be in one place. First of all, I'm be recovered because, I'm going to sleep good.
Of course.
My sleep number bed. I make sure I'm recovered when I first go into the game. But it's like one of those things where you're torn a little bit because you started with the Dallas Cowboys and you ended with Denver, but you had two amazing teams, two amazing fan bases that you got to play with. And it's going to be an opportunity to where no matter what, it's going to be a home game. It's going to be a lot of orange. It's going to be a lot of blue and gold in there and silver. And being able to be just part of two amazing organizations in this whole NFL fraternity is just great. And I can't wait for that game. I will be there.
That's awesome. You mentioned gold. Like I said, this time next year, the jacket, you're going to be getting measured, and it's going to be on a body, on a physique that is well rested, like you said, because you're going to be sleeping on your sleep number. DeMarcus, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Look forward to catching up next time. Hopefully by then, hopefully we chat before then, but soon enough when you've got that bronze bust getting done.
All right, thank you so much.